Coach Giamatti, when you think back to March 2nd and that Cornell game here, what comes to mind?
I thought it was two really good teams early in the season, playing hard, still trying to figure out a little bit who they were. I was, what comes to mind certainly is we got off to a fast start, put ourselves in a position to, make a couple more plays in the fourth quarter and win a game against a great team. But great teams do what they did. I think we were maybe 11-8 at one point in the fourth. We come down. We get a look in transition actually to put it up, 12-8. Their goalie makes a great play, and then they go down and score, and do what Cornell does, which this year is scoring a lot of goals. So, yeah.
Your evaluation of CJ, who had 3 goals in that game, and clearly best scorer in the nation.
Yeah, 100% the best player in the country right now. My assistant coach said this earlier in the week and was spot on. One of the things he's so great at is he just lets the game come to him. He doesn't force anything. He doesn't try to do too much. He's the epitome of a team player, and he plays as hard as anybody else on the field. So we're going to have our hands full with him. Certainly we're going to have to defend him with 10 different guys. I think so. But give a kid like that so much credit for just the effort that he puts into the way he plays.
You mentioned 10 guys. How much is Hunter Smith involved in defending CJ?
Yeah, obviously, Hunter's our best, cover defenseman. He's certainly going to have the CJ Kirst matchup. No surprise there. We got a ton of faith in Hunter. When we need to support him, we're going to be ready to support him. And when Hunter needs to support somebody else, he's going to be ready to support somebody else, because Cornell's, as great as CJ Kirst is, they've got 9 awesome players more that will at some point be on the field playing offense for him. So, we need to be able to play team defense, for 60 minutes.
Hunter's best attribute as a defender would be, in your view?
I would say Hunter's competitive nature, his footwork, and physicality. You combine those things, and Hunter's a tough matchup.
Can you go back to that matchup, given how much you have changed in the last couple of months, and kind of pick through that matchup and say, hey, we can do this a little bit better, we can stop this a little bit better?
Yeah, I think we're playing really good defense right now. I think it's a product of the whole team playing together, the whole unit playing together. Our short sticks are playing at a really high level. I don't think Ryan Thompson played against them the first go around. Ryan, had a broken arm early in the season. Mikey Farrell played part of the first quarter against those guys, and then got a lower body injury. Both those guys are 100% healthy right now. So the short sticks, our short sticks, we think very highly of. Mitch Dunham and Hunter Smith, obviously really good. Mikey Farrell's our off-ball general back there, and honestly, I think Zach Vigu right now is playing his best lacrosse of the year as well. So we got a ton of faith in that unit. That unit against North Carolina gave us a ton of confidence offensively, because we really started slow offensively. We know they're going to get the ball to the offensive end often. So obviously, Cornell is the best offensive team in the country. So we all have our work cut out for us, and but we got a lot of trust in our defense to hang in there and do their job. One of the guys I think for Cornell who doesn't get enough publication because of how many superstars they do have is the face-off kid. They score a lot of goals because their face-off guy is really talented as well. So it's going to be a 10-on-10 face-off battle. It's going to be a 10-on-10 defensive performance out there, as best we can make it.
When you played them the first time, did you think, hey, there's a chance, there's a really good chance we will probably see them in May?
No, not exactly. We weren't thinking that far ahead, to be honest. This season, everything's been one game at a time, 0-0 in every huddle, and just trying to go 1-0 every time we've got a new opponent in front of us.
Is it motivating for the guys to know that this is a team that they were up 3 goals in the fourth quarter against? Sometimes you think of that 8 versus 1 seed, it seems impossible, but this is a team you guys have put together.
Yeah, I think whether it's the first game that we've played with them or just the way we've been playing all season, I think the guys have trust that they execute what we've executed every game. We're going to give ourselves a chance. I have no doubt too. You play Cornell for the first time ever. They come down here and there was a chance maybe they took us a little bit lightly. We're certainly not going to sneak up on them this time around. They know we're a formidable opponent. So, yeah, we're just the way we've been playing. We're going to keep playing that way. We're going to keep trusting the recipe that has worked so far. We've been able to play with every team we've been matched up against, so far this year, minus the first half of Maryland when we weren't exactly ourselves, to be honest. But since that half, we've been able to score goals and get stops against every team we've gone up against.
Turning the clock back just a little bit, how special was that moment down in Chapel Hill to make the program's first NCAA tournament win? And I'm sure the goals are much higher than the team.
Yeah, they are. The goals are higher. We're honestly trying to, we flushed that game. Obviously it was special. It was emotional for everybody. It was exciting. Insert whatever emotions you want there. In order for us to stay focused, we had to flush that game, 3-4 days ago. I think the guys have done a good job of that. What they've accomplished is certainly something nobody can ever take away from them, but we're trying to focus, on what's in front of us right now without, going backwards and trying to relive Saturday.
You just mentioned your scouting prowess. I wonder, when you look at Kirst, what do you see?
Obviously, he's a great player. You just look for tendencies that you could see in any scout. I put a lot of time into it. I don't know how many hours I put in this week, but it's a lot. It's going to be a good test for me, for sure.
What distinguishes him among the normal guy?
I think he just plays very well within his team. He's not a guy that demands the ball every possession. He's a team player. His off-ball cutting ability is, among the top in the nation. So I'll have to keep my head on a swivel most of the game.
Sometimes when teams lose games and then have subsequent success, they can look back at the loss and say that it kind of helped us. Do you feel that way against Cornell or not necessarily?
You take away things from every game, especially like Cornell, Duke, just learning how to close games as a team and to put a team away specifically. I think that came to show against Georgetown. They went on a little run, but we ended up closing the door against them and basically the same situation as we had against Cornell. And then, of course, this weekend we hunkered down in the fourth quarter and then we closed the game as a team. So, yeah, you take things from each game, you grow as a team, to try and get better every week.
Can you describe the Spiders' mindset after the trip to Chapel Hill and coming?
Yeah, we're confident. We're real excited. Obviously, team's never been on this stage before, but that we're not scared of that. A lot of trials and tribulations this season, a lot of adversity, and we just battled every single day, and we trust our preparation that goes into it.
Are you still boxing in the off season?
Yeah, I am still. Well, not as much, but I box my friends from time to time. I like to stay active during the off season, so hit the mitts with my guy Giles. Nothing crazy though.
Nasty knuckles.
Nasty knuckles, absolutely.
In what way does this translate as helpful in your lacrosse pursuit?
Just the footwork aspect of it. You gotta stay light on your feet. You stay explosive, and then each matchup is a fight. You're gonna trade blows. He's gonna get you here. You're gonna get him there. It's about having a dog mentality and next play.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
How much have you looked back at that first game?
A lot. I've watched a lot of film on this. That game in particular, I took away some things from that game, obviously. Slight tweaks in how I'm going to play on this time, but it's a team defense at the end of the day. It's not just one-on-one matchup. I'm going to have slide help, it's just how it is. It's a team game, so it's just not one player versus one player. It's the Richmond defense versus the Cornell offense.
When that game was over, did you think when you walked off the field, you would see them again in the tournament?
You just had this kind of feeling that it would end up that way. Obviously, we're excited with how things played out, and we're ready to get after it this weekend and hopefully come out with the W this time.
What would a win mean for this program on Saturday?
I don't know if I could do it justice by talking about it myself, but just what it means to this guys in the locker room, everything that we've been through since August, games won and lost, it would mean everything.